Hey guys, my name is Cole Chase and I'm here to talk about gender equality on Broadway. Now, before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a student at the University of Central Florida and I love it. I'm originally from Maine, so I love being away from the cold. I love sports, music, and just like you, I'm a huge theater kid. I was in musicals and one-act plays throughout all of high school, winning several acting awards at festivals around the state. My favorite show by far was Aladdin the Musical my senior year, where I played Aladdin. Theater holds a big spot in my heart, and that's why I'm here to talk about gender equality on Broadway to you. So let's get started with a little basic Broadway history. The first actual Broadway theater that opened was the Park Theater that was built on Park Row in New York City. It opened up in 1810. When American theater first started, they would import European actors to play the roles until eventually America began producing its own stars. The first long-run Broadway musical was called The Elves, which starred two females, Laura Keene and Kate Reynolds. This is an earlier implication that females were mainly represented on Broadway. Now, before we get into talking about gender representation, let me ask you a question. Do you think that both genders are being equally represented currently on Broadway? Think of an answer right now and keep this answer in your head. At the end of this presentation, see if your opinion changes or stays the same. Let's begin with one of the most popular Broadway musicals of all time, Disney's The Lion King. Every aspiring actor or actress has heard of this Tony Award-winning Broadway musical. I studied the cast of this musical, and I noticed one thing. The guys in this performance heavily outweigh the girls. There are 30 males in the cast as to 21 females. Now, that may not seem like a large difference, but I then looked at the larger roles. When it comes to either main characters or supporting characters, males outnumber the females 10 to 5. There are twice as many males in large roles compared to females. Now, this leads me to believe that mainly males are being represented on Broadway. Did you know, according to an article written by Lauren Gunderson, that male performers perform 65% of the roles on Broadway? But more females attend the performances than males. Now that gets you thinking, doesn't it? That's a straight fact that more males perform more roles than females on Broadway. Gunderson also states that less than 20% of female playwrights are chosen on and off Broadway. These facts again lead to the point that theater is predominantly male-based. To back up this information, Catherine Lampell writes about an actual study taken on male and female playwrights. The study was that they would have two scripts, exactly the same, one with a female name on it and the other with a male name on it. The study found that the artistic director would choose the script with the male name on it almost every single time. Now I ask you, has your answer to my question at the beginning changed or stayed the same so far? Now, there's still a large number of musicals that are predominantly female. Like Jera Hodge notes, that one popular musical is The Sound of Music, which has a predominantly female cast and the main character is a strong female. Another musical she notes is called The Color Purple. It's about a young woman who endures years of suffering but eventually finds her voice. This is a play that is predominantly female that is actually about sexism. This was great for my research because it gave me some feminine perspective, opposite of what I had found beforehand. So here I am telling you about these articles and other things I found, but I've yet to mention the most important research of all, how young actors like you and me feel about gender representation on Broadway. So I recently interviewed a friend of mine back home, Jordan Carpenter, who hopes to become a Broadway actress herself one day. I asked her two short questions, and she gave me the exact answer I was hoping for. I first asked her, do you think that both genders are being equally represented on Broadway today? Why or why not? And she replied, I would believe so. Not always in the same show, but I do believe there is a pretty equal balance on stage. There are shows that are more guy-heavy like Les Mis, but there are also shows that are predominantly female. Next, I asked her, how important do you think future actors are to keeping or making Broadway more equal? And she replied, in my opinion, everyone would love to keep up the equality. All serious actors realize that shows deserve to be treated with the utmost respect, and that goes along with respecting castmates. So I think future actors totally get that gender equality on Broadway is important to keep up. Now her answers really intrigue me. If a fellow actor feels that genders need to be equally represented on Broadway, it shows me that future actors really care. She taught me right there that the future of Broadway is in your hands. If you feel as if it should be equal, then you have the power to make it equal. Throughout my research, I believe I've come to a conclusion. Right now, I think Broadway is more dominated by males, but I think it's headed in the opposite direction. And I don't mean that it will be predominantly female. I mean that it's headed in the direction of total gender equality. This research really changed my perspective of theater on Broadway. I began researching expecting to find that musicals are mostly females, but I found the opposite. Now, it's up to you to help equalize the genders on Broadway. Now you're probably wondering, how am I supposed to affect the gender equality on Broadway? Well, let me tell you, it starts today. Even though you're not on Broadway, you can still get people involved today that will help shape the future of Broadway. Talk your friends into auditioning for that next musical. Get a friend to take an acting class with you. Do anything to help make theater even better, if that's possible. If you're a guy, don't not do theater because you think it's feminine. If you're a girl, don't think that just because a show is mostly guys, that you can't have an important role in the production. Nowadays, we all have the same problem of wanting to fit in. And if we forget about this problem, it'll make theater a lot more gender equal. Now, in closing, I urge you to get more of your friends into theater. Work on making the next production that you're in more gender equal. Get more people involved in theater. If more people are involved, it can only make the great art of theater even better. The future is up to you. You shape Broadway's future. If we can get both males and females into theater today, Broadway will be 100% equal later on in our lives. Thank you very much for listening.